The clink of my coffee cup against the saucer was the only sound in my mansion that crisp October morning in 2024. But it wasn't the silence that broke me. It was the emptiness. My name's James, and if you saw me on a Forbes cover or working a room at some glittering gala, you'd think I was living the dream. A millionaire at 35, with a fortune most can only imagine. But the truth? It's a bitter pill. My wealth built walls higher than my heart could climb. My only friend, the one soul who saw past the dollar signs, was my butler, Edward, with his silver hair and eyes that held stories he never told. Until that morning, I thought I knew him. I was wrong. I didn't know that day would be the last. I'd see him, his steady hands pouring my coffee, his voice soft but sure. "You're enough, sir." Enough? I'd spent years chasing deals, signing checks, and ignoring the ghosts of my family. Parents who left scars deeper than death. Friends who faded when my bank account outgrew their loyalty. I'd locked my heart away, convinced I didn't need it. Edward, though, he listened. He stayed. Through every late-night rant, every cynical quip I tossed to hide the ache, he was there, polishing silver or folding linens with a quiet grace that made my chaos feel human. But that morning, as he set down my cup, I caught a flicker in his eyes. A secret. What did he know that could unravel everything I thought I was? And why, when everyone else walked away? Did he stay, now, sitting in this too-big house? I'm left with questions and a story I'm still afraid to tell. It's raw, messy, about loss and the lies we cling to. But somewhere in it, there's a spark, a chance I might find what I've been missing. Maybe you felt it too. Alone in a crowd, wondering who really sees you. If that hits home, like this video, drop a comment with your story. I'll read it, I promise. Want to know what Edward hid and how it changed me? Subscribe, hit that bell, and come with me. This is just the start of something bigger. The coffee cup hits the saucer with a clink that's too loud, a brittle snap cutting through the dead air of my dining room on this October morning in 2024. The chandeliers, light fractures across Edward's silver hair, turning him into some kind of ghost under glass. His eyes, though, those deep, story-soaked eyes that have seen me through a decade of my bullshit, carry something new today. A shadow, heavy and wrong, like a bruise under the surface. I don't know what it means, but it makes my skin itch. I'm slouched at the table, half drowned in emails, my phone spitting out merger updates that pile up like bricks around the hollow in my chest. Another day, another million, I mutter, my voice sharp, coated in the cynicism I've polished to a shine. It's my armor, my way of pretending the world hasn't carved me out. Edward chuckles, a soft sound that usually steadies me, but today it dies fast, like a candle snuffed out. His hands, pouring more coffee, tremble. Just a flicker, but enough to make me freeze. Edward, my rock, my unshakable butler, faltering. The air shifts, and I feel a crack in the universe I've built. "You okay?" I ask, sharper than I mean, my eyes narrowing. He pauses, the carafe hovering like he's forgotten how to move. "Long night, sir," he says, his smile a ghost that doesn't touch his eyes. It's a lie, or half a lie, and it sits wrong, like a key that doesn't fit. He turns away, his steps too careful, and I'm left staring at the coffee, black and still, reflecting nothing but my own face. I hate that face today. Too much like my father's. Too much like a man who's lost everything that matters. When he's gone, I wander the mansion's halls, my footsteps echoing like accusations. The walls are lined with photos of my parents, their smiles frozen, their eyes sliding past me like I was never enough. They're gone, not dead, but gone in. A way that cuts deeper, a wound I've buried under stock portfolios and penthouse views. Today, though, the wound bleeds fresh, and I can't shove it down. It's heavier, like the air knows something I don't. I pass a mirror and avoid my reflection, afraid of what I'll see. A millionaire at 35, with a fortune that buys everything, except peace. Back at my desk, I find it. A folded note, slipped under my laptop like a secret waiting to bite. Library, midnight. E. My pulse kicks up, a drumbeat in my throat. Edward's never left a note before. Not in 10 years of coffee and quiet loyalty. The paper feels heavy, like it's carrying more than words. What's he hiding? Why now, when I'm already fraying at the edges? I grip the note, my knuckles, white, and the mansion's silence presses in, thick and suffocating. It's not just a note, it's a door, and I'm terrified of what's on the other side. Something tells me my life, this fragile house of cards I've built, is about to come crashing down, and Edward, the one person I thought I could trust, is holding the match. The library smells like dust and regret, its shelves clawing at the ceiling, heavy with books I've never touched. I pace under their weight on this October night in 2024, the clock's ticking, slicing into my nerves like a dull knife. Midnight hits, and Edward slips in, his silver hair catching the lamplight like a warning. He's not the butler who poured my coffee this morning. His face is pale, his calm cracked, like he's carrying a secret that's eating him alive. I stop pacing, my heart thudding. Something's wrong, and it's not just the note he left. Me. He holds out a box, small, wooden, scarred like it's been through a war. It's heavy when I take it, heavier than it should be, like it's packed with someone else's life. "This is yours, James," he says, his voice low, frayed at the edges. "But you're not ready." Not ready? The words hit like a slap, and I grip the box tighter, my knuckles whitening. "Not ready for what?" I snap, my voice sharper than the library's shadows. He flinches, just a flicker. But it's there, a crack in the man who's been my anchor for years. "What's this got to do with my parents?" I press, stepping closer, my anger a live wire. His eyes, those deep pools that always seem to know me better than I know myself, dart away. "Everything," he says, so soft I barely hear it. "And me." My stomach twists, a sick lurch, like the floor's dropping out. My parents, gone when I was 19, leaving nothing but silence and scars. What do they have to do with Edward? I open my mouth to demand more, but he's already turning, his shoulders hunched like he's carrying my questions on his back. His cuff slips as he reaches for the door, and I see it. A scar, jagged and old, snaking across his wrist like a story he's never told. My breath catches, and I grab his arm, my fingers digging in. "What's that?" I ask, my voice low, almost a growl. The scar feels like a secret, raw and pulsing, but he pulls away, his eyes pleading, wet with something I don't understand. "Not yet," he whispers, and he's gone, leaving me with the box and a library that feels like a tomb. I slump into a chair, the box in my lap, its weight pressing into my thighs. My mind spins, replaying Edward's words, his scar, the way his voice broke. What ties him to my parents? Why now, after a decade of coffee and quiet loyalty, is he handing me this thing that feels like a grenade? The mansion's silence creeps in, thick and suffocating, and I trace the box's edges, my fingers catching on its rough scars. It's not just wood. It's a door to something I'm not sure I want to see. Edward's always been my one constant, the only one who stayed when the world turned its back. But that scar, that box, those words, they're a warning, and I'm terrified that whatever's inside will burn everything I thought I knew to the ground. The box squats on my nightstand like a vulture, its locked surface taunting me as I lie awake, the October dark pressing against my bedroom windows. In 2024, my parents' faces swim in my head, their cold, polished smiles, their sudden exit when I was 19, leaving me with a mansion and a heart full of splinters. I trace the box's edges, my fingers shaking, Not with cold, but with the kind of fear that comes from standing on the edge of a truth you can't unlearn. It's not just a box, it's a grave, and I'm digging. I stumble to the attic, where old photo albums gather dust like forgotten sins. The mansion's silence is a weight, crushing, as I flip through pages of my parents' lives. Galas, handshakes, lies. One photo stops me dead. Them at a charity event, all glamour and gloss, but in the background there's Edward, younger, his eyes locked on them like a hunter. My pulse hammers. Was he always there, watching, waiting? The photo feels like a blade, slicing open questions I've buried for years. I find Maria, the housekeeper, in the pantry, her hands busy with jars, her face tight. "What do you know about Edward?" I ask, my voice low, edged with something I don't recognize. She freezes, her eyes darting like a trapped animal's. "He's been here longer than you think," she says, her voice a hiss, like she's spitting out a curse. "Longer than me?" I press, but she turns away, her silence louder than words. It's a warning, and it chills me to the bone. At dawn, I track Edward to the garden where he's pruning roses, his hands steady now, slicing thorns with a precision that feels surgical. I shove the photo in his face. "Why were you there?" My voice cracks, betraying the anger I'm trying to hold. He pauses, a thorn pricking his finger, blood welling like a secret. "Some truths bleed, James," he says, his eyes meeting mine, heavy with something like sorrow. He walks away, leaving me with the roses and a rage that tastes like ash. I slump in the dark, the mansion's walls closing in like a fist. My wealth, my empire. It's a lie, a glittering cage I built to hide from the truth. Edward's been my anchor, the one who stayed when everyone else ran. But that photo, Maria's. Warning, the box. They're puzzle pieces that don't fit, and I'm terrified they'll show me a picture I can't face. What's the cost of digging up a truth that could shatter everything? I stare at the box, its lock glinting like a challenge. The mansion hums with secrets, and I'm not sure I'm strong enough to hear them, but I'm too far in to stop now. The mansion's silence is a blade, cutting deeper as I sit at my desk, the box's locked stare mocking me. I need answers, not shadows, so I call Claire, a private investigator with eyes like steel and a voice that cuts through bullshit. "This could get messy, James," she says, her tone half warning, half challenge, as we meet in a diner that smells of grease and yesterday's dreams. I don't care about messy. I need to know why Edward's tied to my parents, why he's been playing Butler in my life like it's a goddamn costume. Claire digs fast, and by evening, she's got a bomb. Edward wasn't just some hired help 20 years ago. He was a manager at my family's company, my father's right-hand man, back when I was still a kid dreaming of superheroes. My head spins, the diner's fluorescent lights buzzing like my thoughts. Why would he trade boardrooms for polishing my silver? Why stay, serving me, after they vanished? The question burns, and I feel the mansion's walls shifting, like they're hiding more than I can stand. I find Edward in the kitchen, his hands steady now, chopping carrots with a rhythm that feels like a lie. "You worked with my father?" I say, my voice raw, shaking with betrayal. He freezes, the knife hovering, and when he looks at me, his eyes are heavy, like he's carrying a grave. "I made a promise," he says, soft but sure. "To keep you safe." Safe from what? I want to scream, but my throat's too tight. The words stuck like glass. That night, a letter slips under my door. The paper crisp. The handwriting Edward's. "Stop asking questions, James. For your own good." My anger flares, hot and sharp. How dare he play gatekeeper to my past? But there's fear too, cold and creeping, because his words feel like a warning from someone who's seen too much. I clutch the box, its lock unyielding, its weight a reminder of secrets I'm not sure I want. The mansion's shadows stretch, whispering things I can't hear, and I'm starting to think I've been blind my whole life. I pace the halls, past photos of my parents, their smiles fake as the wealth I've built. Edward's been my one constant, the only one who stayed when the world turned its back. But now? Now he's a stranger, a man who knew my father, who's hiding something that could break me. Claire's voice echoes in my head. This could get messy. Messy's an understatement. This feels like a fault line and I'm standing right on it. The box, the letter, Edward's promise, they're cracks in the foundation of everything I thought I knew, and I'm terrified of what happens when it all comes crashing down. I can't take it anymore. The box's locked stare, its secrets mocking me like a bully who knows I'm weak. I grab a hammer, my hands shaking with a rage that's been simmering since I was 19, and smash the lock. The wood splinters, and inside, I find a letter in my father's jagged scrawl, a faded photo of him with Edward and my mother, and a key that feels like it's burning my palm. My chest tightens, the mansion's silence a fist around my heart. This is real, and I'm not ready. The letter's short, a knife to the gut. James, we failed you. Edward knows why. Forgive us if you can. Forgive them? For vanishing, leaving me with nothing but money and ghosts? My vision blurs, rage and grief tangling like wires. I see my mother's face in the photo, smiling but strained. Edward young and sharp beside her. My father's arm around them both. They were a unit, a family I was never part of, and the betrayal cuts deeper than I thought possible. I storm into Edward's quarters, the photo crumpled in my fist. He's there, holding the same damn picture. His face a map of cracks. They didn't leave you by choice, he says, his voice breaking like glass. They were running from a man who'd destroy us all. My breath catches. Running. From who? He tells me pieces. My parents, tangled in a money laundering scheme, forced into it by a man named Victor Crane. Edward stayed, not out of loyalty, but to bury their sins, to keep me safe. I feel like I'm drowning, the truth a tide pulling me under. Crane? I spit, my voice raw. Edward nods, his eyes wet, and I want to hate him, but I can't. Not yet. The key in my pocket bites into my skin, a safe deposit box downtown, waiting like a guillotine. Whatever's in there, it's the truth I've been chasing, and it terrifies me. The mansion feels colder, its walls leaning in, whispering secrets I'm not sure I can face. Edward's the only one who's ever seen me, really seen me, but now he's part of this lie, and I don't know who I am anymore. I sit alone, the key a weight I can't shake. My parents? Criminals? Edward? Their guard dog? The pieces don't fit, but they cut all the same. When you uncover a truth about someone you loved, does it free you or shatter you? I'm standing on the edge, and the fall feels inevitable. The mansion's silence is a scream now, and I know I have to go to that bank, to face whatever's waiting. But as I grip the key, I'm not sure I'm strong enough to survive what's inside. The key burns a hole in my pocket as I drive to the bank, the October city blurring past like a bad dream. Edward's words, "They were running," loop in my head, each syllable a nail in my coffin. My hands grip the wheel, knuckles white, as I pull into the lot. The vault waiting like a judge ready to sentence me. The mansion's shadows cling to me even here, and I wonder if I'm chasing truth or just more pain. I'm not sure there's a difference anymore. Inside, the safe deposit box is cold, heavy, like it's holding my parents' ghosts. I open it, my hands shaking, and find a stack of documents and a USB drive. The papers are a gut punch. Financial records, millions funneled through my family's company, names I don't know, but one leaps out. Victor Crane. My parents weren't just rich. They were criminals, laundering money like it was pocket change. My stomach churns. The truth a sour taste I can't spit out. I plug the USB into my laptop, and my father's face fills the screen. Gaunt, eyes hollow. "James, if you're watching, we're gone," he says, his voice a rasp. "Trust Edward. He's all you have." My mother's sobs cut through the background, a sound that claws at my heart. I pause it, my throat tight, unable to breathe past the weight of their fear. They weren't just running. They were terrified, and I was the kid they left behind. Claire calls, her voice sharp, cutting through my haze. "Edward was more than a manager," she says. "He was your father's partner, took the fall, did time. Prison? For them?" My head spins, betrayal mixing with the grief I've carried for years. Edward came back as my butler, not out of loyalty but guilt. A debt he's been paying in coffee and silence. I want to scream, to break something, but I'm too hollow for that. I confront Edward in the mansion's library, my voice raw, shaking. "Prison? For them?" He nods, his eyes distant like he's seeing a past I'll never know. "I owed your father my life," he says, but the words feel like a half-truth, a door he's only cracked open. The mansion's walls press in, the air thick with secrets, and I'm done with shadows. What's he still hiding? The USB, the documents, the key. They're pieces of a puzzle that's cutting me apart, and I'm terrified the final picture will destroy what's left of me. Edward's words, blackmailed by Victor Crane, are a blade in my chest, twisting as I stand in the mansion's library, the air thick with dust and lies. I push him, my voice a raw edge. "Tell me everything," I demand, my anger a live wire sparking in the dark. He cracks, his face crumpling like old paper. "Crane threatened you," he says, voice trembling. "Your life, James. They left to keep you safe." My parents? Blackmailed? The truth feels like acid, burning away the story I've told myself. For years. I dig through the safe deposit box's documents, and there he is. Victor Crane, cold-eyed in a photo next to my father, their smiles fake, like sharks circling. My stomach twists. He's real. A ghost from their past, and Edward says he's still out there. A shadow I've woken by digging. The mansion feels alive now, its walls watching, and I notice a car idling outside my gate. Too long, too deliberate. At night, a shadow flickers in the garden, gone when I blink. My pulse races. Is Crane already here? Claire calls, her voice sharp with news. Crane's in Chicago hiding under an alias. "He's dangerous, James," she warns, but I'm past caring. If he's why my parents vanished, I need to see his face, to know why I was the price they paid. I book a flight, my heart pounding like a drum. The mansion's silence a scream I can't escape. Crane's name is a weight, a haunt I can't shake, and I'm walking into his world blind. Edward grabs my arm as I pack, his grip desperate. "Don't go," he begs, his eyes wet with fear I've never seen. "He'll destroy you." His voice breaks, and for a second, I see the man who poured my coffee, who stayed when everyone else left. But he's also the man who knew, who hid, and I pull away, my anger hotter than his fear. I'm too far gone to stop, too deep in the truth to turn back. The mansion's halls feel tighter, the photos of my parents glaring as I pass. Crane's out there, a name that's haunted my family for decades, and now he's hunting me. The car outside, the shadow in the garden. They're not paranoia, they're warnings. I grip the key from the box, its edges biting my palm, and I know I'm walking into a trap. But I can't stop. I need to face the man who broke my family, even if it breaks me too. The airport's a blur of faces, but as I shove through the crowd, a note slips into my pocket, the paper sharp against my fingers. "You're digging your own grave. VC." My skin crawls, the October air turning cold. Victor Crane knows I'm coming. knows I'm chasing the truth about my parents. I scan the crowd, my pulse a drumbeat, but no one looks back. Just strangers with eyes like glass. I clutch the note, its words a hook in my gut, and board the plane. The mansion's shadows trailing me like ghosts. In Chicago, Claire meets me at a diner, its air thick with grease and secrets. She slides a file across the table, her face grim. "Crane's been watching you," she says, her voice low. "Since your parents vanished. He wants your fortune. And revenge." The file's a bomb. Photos of me, my mansion, my life, snapped from angles I never saw. Crane's been circling for years, a predator waiting for me to dig too deep. My hands shake, the diner's lights buzzing like my nerves. I call Edward, my voice trembling with rage. "Did you know Crane was after me?" His silence is a knife, long and sharp. "I tried to shield you," he whispers, "but it's not enough, not after years of coffee and lies." His words feel like betrayal, and I hang up, my chest tight. The mansion, Edward, my parents, they're all part of a game I didn't know I was playing, and Crane's the one holding the cards. At my hotel, I find a photo taped to my door. Me, in the mansion's garden, alone, taken days ago. My breath catches, fear coiling like a snake. Crane's not just watching, he's close, his shadow stretching across my life. I check the USB from the safe deposit box, but it's still there, my parents' voices trapped inside. It's all I have left of them, and I won't let Crane take it. I grip it, my knuckles white, and realize I'm not just chasing truth, I'm being hunted. The city outside feels like a trap, its lights too bright, its streets too quiet. Crane's out there, and I'm walking into his game, my parents' secrets my only weapon. The note, the photo, Edward's silence. They're pieces of a puzzle that's starting to look like my grave. I'm not sure I'm ready, but I'm too far in to turn back. The truth is all I have, and I'll face Crane, even if it costs me everything. Victor Crane's penthouse is a slab of glass and steel, its cold perfection mocking the chaos in my chest. He's older now, his eyes ice blue, cutting through me, as I stand in his Chicago office. "You're your father's son," he sneers, his voice smooth, like poison in a velvet glove. Too curious, too stupid. My hands clench, the October city glittering outside, indifferent. I came for answers, but Crane's presence feels like a trap I've already sprung. He leans back, admitting it all, blackmailing my parents, forcing them into hiding to save me. But then the real blow. Edward, my Edward, the man who poured my coffee and stayed when no one else did, betrayed them to Crane. He thought it would save his own skin, Crane says, a smile curling like smoke. My world cracks, the air sucked out of the room. Edward, my only friend, a traitor? My heart pounds, a dull roar in my ears. I call Edward from the plane, my voice breaking, raw. "You sold them out?" I choke, the words acid on my tongue. He doesn't deny it, his voice a whisper through the static. "I was young, scared. I've spent my life making it right." Making it right? By lying to me, by serving me coffee while carrying that guilt? I hang up, my hands shaking. The key from the box still in my pocket, its edges biting like a reminder of everything I've lost. Back at the mansion, I find Edward packing, his face, a map of regret, his silver hair dull under the dim light. "I'm sorry, James," he says, tears streaking his cheeks, and I want to scream, to hit him, but I'm too hollow, too broken. He leaves the photo, him with my parents, smiling like they had a future, on the table and walks out. The doors click louder than a gunshot. I'm alone, the mansion colder than ever, its walls echoing with betrayal. I sit, the photo in my hands, my parents' faces blurring through my tears. Edward was my anchor, the one who saw me when the world didn't. Now he's a lie, and I'm drowning in the truth. The key, the documents, Crane's sneer, they're all pieces of a puzzle that's carved me open. I don't know who I am anymore, or if I ever did. The mansion's silence is a scream, and I'm terrified I'll never find my way back from this. The mansion's empty now, its silence a weight heavier than the truth. I sit in the dining room, the photo in my hands. My parents' smiles, Edward's quiet gaze, all ghosts staring back. The October light filters through the windows, cold and thin, but the truth, as brutal as it is, feels like a chain breaking. I've spent years running from it, my parents' crimes, Edward's betrayal, my own loneliness, but now it's here, raw and real, and I'm done hiding. I track Edward to a rundown apartment downtown, the kind of place that smells like regret and cheap coffee. He's frail, his silver hair dull, his eyes wet with a guilt I can almost touch. I don't yell, don't hit him. I sit and we talk, really talk, for the first time. He tells me about his fear back then, his love for my parents, how he stayed, to atone, to keep me safe from Crane. His voice breaks, and I see the man who poured my coffee, who saw me when I was invisible. He's not a hero, but he's human. I forgive him, not because it's easy, but because hate's a weight I'm tired of carrying. The scars are there, my parents' absence, Edward's lie, but so is a spark, a flicker of something I haven't felt in years. Hope. I'm not whole, but I'm not broken either. I start a foundation in my parents' name, pouring my fortune into helping others find what I lost. Connection, trust, a reason to keep going. It's small, a seed, but it's mine. In the mansion's garden, I touch the roses Edward pruned, their petals soft against my fingers, blooming despite the frost. They're alive, defiant, and maybe I am too. The mansion's still here, its walls still heavy, but they don't own me anymore. I've faced the truth, and it didn't kill me. It set me free. If this story hit you, if you've ever lost someone, but found a way to heal, like this video, share your truth in the comments. I'll read everyone. Want more stories that cut deep and still find light? Subscribe, hit that bell, and let's keep chasing the sparks that keep us going.